Hill versus Clark, Stewart versus Fittipaldi, Hunt versus Lauda. The truly great rivalries in Formula One are usually between two people. But in 1986, the year of the Chernobyl disaster and the completion of the M25, F1 was fully turbocharged with the most powerful engines ever. It was also the start of an amazing rivalry like never before. And thanks to Goodwood's legendary Black Book, we brought together some of the major players involved in this incredible season, which was all about tire-melting turbo power.
It was an era where the cars and the engine wanted to kill you every time you drove them.
They were absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, just rocket ships. I mean, they were just unbloody believable.
And into this mix, we throw a four-way rivalry like the sport has never seen before. It's like a steroid-pumped 80s Hollywood action movie with four huge leading stars. And it's all encapsulated in this one iconic photo. Never before and never again would the gang of four pose together for a photo like they did here back in Estoril in 1986. It tells us more than it might seem at first glance. This is much more than just four people striving to be world champion. These are four men from four very different backgrounds, unified in their quest for the sport's biggest prize. First up, the reigning world champion.
He wasn't known as the professor for nothing. He was, he had a wise head on his shoulders.
Alain, by this time, it wasn't just that he'd won a world championship, he was so mature.
But behind closed doors, Alain was the professor of manipulation and politics.
We were ready to fight, that is for sure.
McLaren had won the previous two world championships, but the MP42C that Prost was driving to defend his title was an updated version of a car now heading into its third season. The tag Porsche engine was no longer the most powerful engine out there, but the Prost-McLaren combination were masters of race strategy. What Prost also had in his favour was experience. But a relative lack of experience wasn't a deterrent for a man who was going to become his greatest nemesis, Ayrton Senna.
When Ayrton walked into the room, there was a different feeling in the room. And I know it's very easy for us all to get wrapped up in this godlike image that Ayrton had, but it's true.
It's not just about talent, it's commitment, sacrifice, all other things. And clear, it was all in by Ayrton.
Senna's car, the Lotus 98T, had a new advanced carbon composite tub, but an even bigger step was the engine. Renault have pulled their factory team to become purely an engine supplier. Senna's Renault-powered Lotus will benefit from full work support and a massive 1,200 horsepower in qualifying trim. Senna's the upstart, but he's got a point to prove. He needs to show that he can convert that ferocious speed into becoming a regular title contender. But perhaps there's someone else in this photo who also needs to do that. Maybe even a bit more.
Nigel was, Nigel, and any success was very much his and any failure was attributable to a third party.
You've got to understand that I started my career in Formula One back in 79, 80. And I didn't get into a competitive car till 5 years or so later. Then I wasn't number one driver until 8 years later.
Nigel's Marmite, we all know he's Marmite. You either love him or hate him.
England needed Nigel.
I think after Mansell crashed when he was leading in Monaco for Lotus, I think Peter Waugh said that man will never win a world championship. And then, of course, Nigel got to stick it to him.
He wasn't just fast, he was quite astute as well.
Mansell's car for 1986 was a game-changer. The Williams FW11 was a big step up in aero terms from the 85 car. This mated to the now sorted Honda 1.5-litre V6 turbo was simply the class of the field. But there was one problem. This guy, double world champion Nelson Piquet, was signed up by Williams to supposedly be the #1 driver. In fact, he wasn't just Nigel's problem, he was everybody's problem.
Mansell was like the fighting dog, and Piquet could see that and worked out every way to wind him up.
He was phenomenally rude about Mansell's wife.
The Mansell. What I done? Oh, I did a lot of things.
I wasn't paying much attention to it until he started to attack my family.
I told him his wife is so ugly, and I tried to have a fight with him.
He was the polar opposite to Senna.
Nelson never rated Ayrton at all. He used to call him the taxi driver.
And that's what makes this picture so amazing. The forced smiles are covering a burning bitterness and a rivalry that's more powerful than any of the cars they drove. As we get to the final 3 races beginning here in Estoril, Senna has already taken an amazing 6 pole positions and victories in Detroit and Spain, which was a classic.
Ayrton blocking, and Ayrton would go boom, boom, boom.
The Brazilian taking the win by 0.014 seconds. To this day, the 3rd closest finish in F1 history. It didn't take long before Mansell struck back with a run of wins at Spa, Canada and France. But his finest hour came on home soil at Brands Hatch.
The fans, in one word, were just absolutely, ballistically sensational. And to be fair to Nelson, he drove the most fantastic race, and he was really upset. He missed 1 gear. 1 gear he missed, and I managed to overtake him when he missed that 1 gear, and then we won the race, obviously.
Mansell's victories spurred Piquet into action, adding victories in Germany and Italy to his season-opening win in Brazil. However, his most satisfying win came in Hungary, battling Senna.
It's not only one time I'm talking about, passing 3 times in that race.
His 3rd overtake was this unbelievable pass on his arch-nemesis. Reigning champion Prost had taken wins at Imola and Monaco, but the professor had a game plan.
What was very important is to win races where the car was competitive and to get the best number of points where the car was not competitive.
And that plan came together perfectly in Austria as Prost took his 3rd win of the season, with all 3 of his rivals retiring. And that brings us back here to Portugal. The top 4 drivers were all still in contention with just 13 points between them. Mansell took the win, giving him the chance to take the title in Mexico. With Senna only finishing 4th after running out of fuel, he was now basically out of the championship battle.
To be very realistic, I think Nigel is world champion today, but it's not finished yet.
Prost was right, as Mansell miscued his start in Mexico and only finished 5th. This meant the whole season came down to one last race in Adelaide. Mansell still had a 6-point edge over his 2 rivals.
I was confident. I always said if I just have the equal opportunity as anyone else, then I should be able to get the job done.
You go in with a mindset. You say, we don't know how things are going to unfold, but one thing, don't forget, never give up.
We saw that it was not possible to do the race in no stop, you know, and we did not say anything. I saw that the wear of the tires would be a problem. There's no way we're going to make it. We need to plan a pit stop, but we have to hide everything to the Goodyear people and to anybody, you know. We don't say anything.
But I felt more obliged to be fair to both of our drivers than to guarantee collaring the World Championship.
Patrick Head was a very nice guy, but he was not, on my side. He wanted to be an Englishman champion, not a Brazilian.
You dream about climbing that ladder your whole life. And so you say what goes through your mind, you know, you're almost there, you're almost there.
There was yet another element to this race. Keke Rosberg in his last ever Grand Prix.
Keke was very good. We said that whatever happened, I'm going to make them follow me. And
so that's why on lap 7 he takes the lead, he goes, and then Nelson is trying to go and Nigel with him.
Exactly.
Rosberg going round the outside, is that going to work? That's the dodgy manoeuvre.
It worked very well. Was only one surprise. I don't remember when I had a puncture.
Lap 32, you get the front right puncture.
As soon as I came back, you know, in the fight, with my fresher tires, there was no way I could lose this race.
I was just sitting there behind Alan, just twiddling my thumbs. I was driving probably 70, 80%, so comfortable.
What Piquet did in racing into the distance, he discounted the potential for tyre failure.
There was a lot that could go wrong in the pit lane, and hence why it was Patrick and the others said, stay out, tyres are good. I was really comfortable just sitting in his slipstream sort of thing, but at a distance behind where, you know, I was having no issues at all. It was a dreadful nightmare, I have to say, dreadful nightmare. There it was in our pocket, and there it was gone.
I was gutted for Nigel because he really put so much into every lap.
Nelson was in a position to win the World Championship, and I decided to change the tyres just from a safety point of view.
Sports, get in.
But I think he was a great sportsman. He never, ever gave me a hard time and said, you didn't need to call me in or anything like that.
There was nothing luck about it. There was no luck at all about it. And of course, the papers said, poor Nigel, bad luck. You know, it wasn't bad luck. You know, we took the right technical decision.
Our car was much better than McLaren, and our wheels much better than Prost, and we lost the championship.
And I then had to fly up to Japan to explain why we lost the Drivers' World Championship.
In my 4 championships, I mean, obviously this one is the best. It was an unbelievable race, you know, for everybody. It's part of the history of Formula One.
It might sound like a bit of McLaren ego, but I mean, we were the best team. And, you know, in any sport, the best team normally wins.
4 drivers battling all season long for the title, and 3 of them taking it right to the closing laps of the final race. 1986, we've never seen an F1 season like it.